So Rabbi Yirmiyah says, Misha Shanazu, Lo Shanazu, meaning our Mishnah is based on a whole different underlying premise. It's no longer Misa Mapeles, but Haitana Sovereign is Su and a Rishonim Apilu. That the Nefila for Yibum, in a sort of potential state, is generated and emerges with Nesuin. And when you have two women that are married to someone, and he's alive and well, one of these two women, if she falls for Yibum, is going to be an Erva. The other woman becomes a Tsaras Erva, because Nesuin Arishonim Mapilu. And he says, Nesuin Arishonim Shenis'a Lebaila, like as if the moment that she gets married, Garmim Liyibum, again, Al Shem Al Asid, which would be Liacham Misa. And that's my pilud. That's what projects her to Yibum. So if she's at Saras Erva, at that moment, meaning the moment in the Suin, then she's excluded from Yibum as a Tzaras Erva, even if later at the time of the Misa, she's no longer a Tzaras Erva because he divorced his Erva. Now, the Mishnah, let's go back again to the language of the Mishnah on the top of Daf Lamed. No, I'm sorry, the Mishnah on the bottom of Daf Lamed. It says over there, Zuhi Sha'amru is Tarasei Mitaras. Now, the word Zui, that phrase always means Lim'ute. So what are we going to exclude here? Lim'ute Kanas L'Besof Geresh. In other words, if, let's say, there's a Nachris, that falls for Yibum, and Kanas, one second, Kanas, I guess it means Levi here in this case, right? Ba Lemait Yibum bin Nachrish Shenafla Biyabim Shekanas Kanas Osa B'Shashe Ishto Asura Al Achiv Mishum Erva Haisa Tachtov L'Besov Giresh. And she is considered a Tsaras Erva. Fine. So we got it? That's pretty much what we said all along. That's called Nesuin Rishonim Apilim. That's how Rabbi Yirmiyah interprets our Mishnah. The Gemara, Ela'i Savala Kirava. But Rava disagrees with Rabbi Yirmiyah. We're going to have a problem if we want to reconcile Rav Nachman with Rava. Di Amar, because Rava says, Liolam Chad Tanum, you can reconcile the two Mishnayos at the beginning of the Masechet with our Mishnah. And it's all the same Tan. And we're going with the approach that Misa Mapelis. So what is Zu Ve'en Tzarech Lomar Zu? Oh, so what is Zu He? So we won't read it as Zu He, but rather Zu Ve'en Tzarech Lomar Zu. So the Tana, he says, is presenting the laws of the Yevamot. First, he tells you the bigger Chiddush, and then he tells you V'ein tzarech lomar zu, and the lesser Chiddush, which goes without saying, is mentioned second. Which means that we can really derive the second din from the first din. So first we start with the din of a woman who was a tzaras erva at the time of the Nesuin. Then she's no longer a tzaras erva because of the divorce, and he muteres lisyam. The achach nokat mishnayis din Yevamot b'shoshes yabma v'nisa lebala kvar pokum in a shem tzaras erev. Nimtza shayevama muteres yavama nosar gam kasher konas osa sheni tchila v'achrechen giresh es ishta. Val kach lochon zui lemuute mai al karchach in Rabbi Yirmiyah Svirla. So we're going like Rava. Rava says Chatanhu, and Zu the Ein Tzarech Lomer Zuktan. What does this mean? Again, he says that the Tana very often will start with the bigger Chiddush and then add a case which is less of a Chiddush, and we would have derived logically the second case from the first case. It's understood automatically. And that's the style called Zu v'ein tzarech lomer Zu. So what happens here? First, he starts with the din of what? Of an isha shahaisat sarali erva b'sha'a shenisa upaka mimenu mimena shem tzaras erva b'chaye baila. Why? Because the erva was divorced, and now she, the tzara, the erva, is muteres nisyam. Okay, so that's, I think, the first din in the sequence. The achar came, nokat b'mishnasenu, din Yevamot shebisha'a shehisyabma, at the time of the yibum, shoshen nisyabma, v'nisa lebaila, farpaka mimeno shem tzaras erva. How is that different from the first case? Again, tila is what? Is isha haisa tzara le'erva b'shoshen nisa. Right? She was at Tzaras Erva at the time she got married, which I think means, if I understand correctly, that Ruvain was Miyabim Sarah, and right now his wife Rachel is alive. And then Pakam Mimena Shem Tzaras Erva B'chai Baila, then Ruvain subsequently divorces Rachel, and therefore the Shem Tzara of an erva, meaning as far as Tzara being a Tzaras and erva, that is Pakam, that is removed. Okay, now Tzara falls for even to Shimon, and there's an allowance of evil. We allow you. Now we go on to the next Mishnah, and that's Yevamot. The b'shah shehisyabma v'nisa lebaila v'arpaka mimenu shem tzaras. It means that Ruvain had divorced his wife Rachel before he was miyabim. Sarah. So that's already zu vein tzarech lomer zu. If you've already told me that in the case where the gerushin took place after the marriage to Sarah and the Zibum, and how much, right? Because you mafkia b'chayav, it's after the marriage, Reuven was mafkia the Tsaras Erva status by divorcing Rachel. Then how much more so? It goes without saying in a case where Reuven divorced his wife Rachel before he was miyabim Sarah Eishes Li. In Nimtza Sheyavam Muteres Liyavam Anosar, meaning Shimon, Gam Kasher Panas Osa Hasheni Tchila. Even if Reuven was miyabim Sarah before the Gerushin, V'achak Gerushin Ishto. Okay, so that's good. And that's called Zu v'yein tzarich lomer Zu. So what's this next line? Zuhi l'me'utei man. Again, I savala kirava yamali olam chatanahu. Is then we're going to have to say zu v'yein tzarich lomer zukta. Okay, so we worked that out. Now, what's zuhi l'me'utei mai? Is this a new paragraph? What's it? Zuhi. Yeah, I think the Gemara is now asking a kasha. So if the style of the Mishnah is zu v'yein tzarich lomer zu, so why does the Mishnah end with the word zuhi, which means l'me'utei? It's l'me'utei mai al karcha ki Rabbi Yirmiyah svirale. I don't get it. What's this al karcha ki Rabbi Yirmiyah svirale? He writes in the Masechet al karcha lomer shegam Rav Nachman ki Rabbi Yirmiyah svirale. It sounds like the Gemara is asking a kasha. Anything in your notes there? What is zuhi lemutei mai? Is that a kasha on everything that we've just been saying? Because we just tried to reconcile Rava and Rav Nachman. Now all of a sudden it says al karcha ki Rabbi Yirmiyah svirale. But we're trying to work out with Rava, not with Rabbi Yirmiyah. There's some sort of a comma here, or a question mark, or something that's missing. Can I borrow your Gemara for a second, or maybe you have it there? Thank you so much. The Olam Chad Tana. Actually, it was one Tana who taught both these Mishnayos. And he taught them in the format, okay, of Zu v'yein tzarich lomer Zu. Okay, he has a long footnote on that. And our Mishnah concurs with the law stated on 2b that even if Shimon married Levi's widow and then divorced his original wife, Levi's widow is permitted. Oh, so his Shimon is our Reuven. That's a little bit confusing. Okay, yeah. But okay, so fine. It doesn't matter. That shouldn't affect us. Then it says Zulim he lemutei mai, and what does the Mishnah's phrase "this is" come to exclude? So it's a question. Okay, that's good. Wow, gigantic footnote here. Oh. Just on these words, Zuhi lemutei mai, he's got footnote number 10 here. I don't know if I have the kaifas, but I'll try. And he says that the Gemara responds, Al karcha ki Rabbi Yirmiyah svirale. So I guess the question of Zuhi lemutei mai is a shluga of everything that we've said until now. Zu v'yein tzarich lomer Zu, in which we tried to reconcile Rav Nachman with Rav. So I think the Gemara is saying that's an aborted, that's a failure. but rather al kochak Rav Yirmiyah Spiro. So now let's just see. 11 is also a good. They cannot mean to exclude the case in which Shimon married Levi's widow and then divorced his original wife, since our Mishnah agrees with the Mishnah that even in this case, Levi's widow is permitted to Shimon. He calls it. It also cannot be to exclude the case in which Shimon divorced his original wife after Levi, before Shimon took Levi's. Even if Levi's widow is permitted. There's another case to consider. Shimon neither divorced the Erva nor took Levi's widow and Yipa died married to the Erva. While this is already, I think, more sophisticated. In short, let's just see if that helps us. If Rav Nachman follows Rava's interpretation, then there is no case in which he can apply our Mishnah's exclusionary statement. In every case to which the statement might allude, Levi's widow is permitted to Reuven. Right. Now, number 11 says, if he interprets our Mishnah as the husband's written marriage, causes his wife, that's called Nesuim Apilin. Now in footnote 11, he's explaining Rabbi Yirmiyah. If Shimon married Levi's widow and divorced Erva, then it's considered an Erva. Sorry, it's Erva. Okay, look, I'm not sure I understand every single word, but the general sense is that we cannot really do justice to the language of the Mishnah by applying Rava here. And Zu v'yein tzarich l'omer zu, because the Mishnah says Zu he. It doesn't say Zu v'yein tzarich l'omer zu. Zu he is coming l'me'ute. And l'me'ute would be a case where Levi died before Reuven had divorced his wife, whereas he has a Shimon, whatever it is. So that both Sarah and Rachel shared the same husband at one moment in time, even though there's going to be a removal of Sarah's status as Sarah's Erva before Reuven dies when he divorces his wife, Rachel. That's what I got so far. So where are we up to now? Ula Rava, we're up to, right? I was really hoping to start the Mishnah today, but Ula Rava. Okay. Again, Rava holds, let's go over this, that everything is determined and set fixed in place at Shas Mis. Forget about ancient history. Which would mean that, again, even if, according to Rava, even if Reuven marries Sarah Eshes Levi before he divorces Rachel, even so, once he divorces Rachel's history, she's out of the picture, Sarah will fall for Yibum to Shimon. The Gemara says, Hanicha Isavra Lakar of Ashki. Oh, I see. You know what I think the Gemara is doing now? What I think the Gemara is trying to figure out, and again, I'm not sure what I'm saying is correct, but let's see if it works. The Gemara is trying to figure out how Rava would interpret Vizu he as a mute. That's why I think we're going to try to figure it out. Hanicha isabalakar of Ashi. Rav Ashi was the one who said that Yesh Zika is Zohi Limaute, coming to exclude Sarah in a case where base below Gerish. Okay, so let's see. He works it out with the names again. Maybe that'll make it a little bit easier. Could go. So Reuven v'Shimon v'Levi Achmeach, Rachel v'Leach, Nasa Reuven es Rach, Shimon Nasa es Levi Nasalo es Sarah. Any krobas or not? Mace Levi below Bun. Nafla Sarah lifnei Reuven v'Shimon v'Yibim. The Achrechem Mace Reuven below Bun. Oh, this is the age sequence, right? What happens is now that since Sarah falls for Yibum to both Reuven and Shimon, so there's a Zikas Yibum to Shimon, or maybe we want to emphasize Reuven, I'm not sure, but let's try Shimon for a minute. There's a Zikas Yibum between Sarah, a Zikas Yibum between Sarah and Shimon. 1 second. And at the same time, 1 second. So where does Rachel fall into this? 1 second. Mace Levi below Banim. The Nafla Sarah lifnei Reuven v'Shimon li'Yibum. Right. So now Sarah is at Sarah's erva through Zika's, right? Why? Because Reuven married to Rachel. This is missing one piece. So you probably have it already, but give me a minute to work it out. It says Mace Levi below Banim Nafla Sarah Reuven v'Shimon li'Yibum. The Acher came Mace Reuven below Banim. Oh, here it says. Kevan to Sarah Hanachus Haisus Kukala Ruvain. Oh, he's emphasizing the Zika to Ruvain. Kukala Ruvain Liyibum. Zieishlach Shiva Ke Ishto. Vinasta Saras Rachel Achos Leah. So Rachel becomes, Sarah becomes Saras Rachel. Through what? Through Zika. And there's no Gerish in this scenario. It's therefore Avshalo his Yavma L'Ruven Klal. All she did was fall for Yibam to Ruvain. And now Sarah becomes Sarah's Rach. Therefore she's in Sarah. Oh, I think I know what you're saying. But let me just try bounce something off things I said. I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. I think what we're saying is that there are two nephilos here. Sarah falls for Yibum with the death of her husband Levi to Reuven. Again, to Reuven and Shimon. Let's focus on Reuven for a moment. Reuven dies, and now Sarah falls for Yibum to Shimon. So there are two nephilos. With the first nephilah, Sarah's status is that of a tsaras erva. Why? Because Reuven is married. No, I don't have it. Reuven is married to Rachel, and now the erva through the zika, Sarah becomes. Yeah, I think again, I don't say I understand it totally, but I think the mechanics of it is that Sarah gets the status of a tsaras erva. She can't shake that status. What happens now? Reuven died. Oh, there's no gerish. Right? That's a point. Keep that in mind. There's no gerish in this scenario. Now Reuven dies, and what? And now both Sarah and Rachel fall for Yibum to Shimon. Is that what happens? Mm-hmm. But that's Tsaras Erva. I mean, what's the chiddush? I don't. Why do we need all these convolutions? That's what I asked you yesterday.
Well,
why do we need Levi in this whole picture?
So why couldn't Sarah just go straight?
Well, no, but she falls for Yibum together with Rachel.
Wow.
But why do we need Levi? I don't understand. Forget about Levi. Let's just ask you a fine question. Reuven and Shimon marry Rachel and Levi, right? Okay. And Reuven has another wife. Besides Rachel, he's married to a woman named Sarah. I don't know beans about Sarah's husband. I don't care, one way or the other. Sarah was never married, and now Reuven marries Sarah. So when Reuven dies, Sarah is Tsaras erva to Shimon. I don't know why we convoluting him.
Well, with because of Zika. The Zika raised her to the status.
Meaning that Reuven was never actually married to Sarah. So in my case, which is the classic case of Tsaras erva, he's married to both Sarah and Rachel. Now we're coming with a more complex case where Reuven was never married to Sarah, but Sarah fell for Yibum with a Zika.
I think
and now what? Reuven dies. So Reuven dies.
I think Ravashi is saying it raises to the status of a Torah, but I think Rav is saying that.
But I thought we're trying to work out Rav with Ravashi, no? Right? Savalok or Ravashi. See, what I understood, Steve, is that Rava's Shita was that Misa Mapelis. But at the time of Reuven's death, there is such a thing called the Tsaras erva. Why? Meaning Reuven's had to call it quasi-wife, Sarah. Why is she a quasi-wife? Because with the death of Levi, Sarah fell for Yibum to Reuven, and that makes Sarah a quasi-wife through Zika of Reuven, a Zika one. Now, when Reuven dies, it's a slow down. Now, Reuven's also married to Rachel. In effect, here's really what we're saying. This is a little interesting. That the Nefila for Yibum, it's like pass the baton, sort of, meaning it's almost as if Sarah falls for Yibum to Shimon, not only through Levi, but also through Reuben. That's in the, you follow what I'm saying? It's like a pass the, we pass the Yevamot around. So Levi's death passes over through Zikas Yibum, his wife Sarah, to Reuven. And now with Reuven's death, he's taking that same Sarah. It's funny because it's all in one bias, it's all in one family, but he's now being mapil through his death, Sarah to Shimon. It's strange because Sarah was already Zakuka to Shimon even before Reuven's death. But it's a strange kind of thing because now Reuven's dead, so far as he's married to Rachel, and there was a Zika between Sarah and Reuven. Now the Nefila for Yibum to Shimon is not just because of Levi's death, but it's also because of Reuven's death. Yeah, as if both Reuven and Levi were married to Sarah. So the fact that Levi was married to Sarah, that doesn't bother Shimon at all, right? She's a Nachas. But what gives her the status of Tzaras Erev? Because now she's falling for Yibum not only through Levi, but also through Reuven. And that's because of Zika. It's a little bit strange because I don't really need the Zika to Reuven to understand why Sarah falls for Yibum to Shimon. I mean, Levi and Shimon are brothers. So there already is a Zika. It's like in chess, you wouldn't put two pieces on the same square. The square is already taken. He's already Zakuka to Shimon. But no, we're saying something else. With the death of Reuven, there's a new Hapola for Yibum of Sarah. And in this second Hapola for Yibum, Sarah is a Tzaras Erev because Reuven's married to Rachel. But I don't think that's against Rava. I don't think so.
No, but I think the difference between Ravashi and Rava is Ravashi is saying when she fell for Zika, if he was still married to Rachel, he then divorced her and then died. Ravashi would say that Sarah is still Tzaras Erev. And Rava is saying, oh, she's only a Tzaras Erev if he's still married to her.
You think the Ravashi would go a step further l'chumra and give Sarah the status of the Tzaras Erev, even if Reuven divorced Rachel?
Right.
How do you know that? Well, maybe you're right, but just
isn't that what we're saying? Ravashi says it's at the time if they're in the bias together ever.
I don't know. Maybe you're right. I may have forgotten. No, maybe I forgot it. I thought Ravashi was just pointing out, which I think is a great chiddush. It really is mind-boggling that Zika comes into the play here, and Zika means that now with the death of Reuven, his two wives are falling for even to Shimon, meaning Rachel and Sarah, both falling for even to Shimon, and they're considered like two wives. What do you mean two wives? Reuven wasn't the Yavim Sarah. There was never a marriage relationship, but the answer is Zika. I don't know that Ravashi was saying anything beyond that. Now, if you introduce Rav Nachman into the equation, then Rav Nachman would say, even if he divorces Rachel, or maybe it's not fair to quote Rav Nachman. I'm not sure. Maybe we should just quote Rav Yirmiyah first. That according to Rav Yirmiyah, that holds that Nesuin Mapilin, it would be fascinating if we integrate both Rav Yirmiyah and Rav Ashi. We have an unbelievably extended chiddush over here. We're going to say that even if Reuven divorces Rachel, nevertheless Sarah and Rachel with sorrows through Zika. You follow where I'm pressing two buttons here. I'm pressing Rabbi Yirmiyah's button and Rav Ashi's button, and they can overlap. Where does Rav Nachman fit into the picture? Let me just remind myself. So again, Rav Nachman said, Rav Nachman. So now, So what did the Gemara say that we said the Rav Nachman could work out with Rava if we introduce Rav Ashi. That was saying there's so many names that you get a little confused. Yeah, I think I'm okay now. Here's what I would say in sum, if I think I'm right. That there's no way of reconciling Rav Nachman with Rav. Rav Nachman and Rav Yirmiyah are on the same page, which is called Nesuin Mapil. And therefore, even after the divorce, Sarah still retains the status of a Tzaras Erev. That's Rav Nachman as a diuk from our Mishnah, because the Mishnah speaks about a case where he already divorced, where Reuven already divorced Rachel before Levi died. Had Levi died before the divorce, then we would apply the principle of Yirmiyah of Nesuin Mapil. Now we have Rava. Rava doesn't have Nesuin Mapil. He has Misa Mapelis. And everything is crucial at the time of the Misa. So what's the Zuhi? What's it coming to exclude? And the answer is we're going to now plug in Rav Ashi. What do we gain by plugging in Rav Ashi? Is that Enoch Hinami, at the moment of the Misa of Ruvain, both Rachel and Sarah fall for Yibum from Ruvain to Shimon. Again, with that obvious paradox, that what do you mean? I don't need the death of Ruvain to establish that Sarah falls for Yibum to Shimon. But it's like Zika on top of a Zika. It's like a Nefil on top of a Nefil. So that even though there was no divorce, well, no, that's not the right way to say it. Not even though there was no divorce. 1 second. That because there was no divorce, again, because we're now trying to link up Rava with Rav Ashi. So we're going to have to insist that there was no divorce, because Rava would say that once there's a divorce, then forget it. She's history. So Rachel could never generate onto Sarah status of Tzaras Erev. But there was no divorce. So what's the chiddush here to exclude Yibum? The answer is Rav Ashi. And Rav Ashi says that once Sarah falls for Yibum to Ruvain, then she becomes Tzaras Erva, and with the death of Ruvain, Sarah is out of the picture for Shimon for Yibum. And you and I would have said, no. There may have been a Zika, but that Zika should be irrelevant to Shimon, because she's already Zekukish. Let Shimon be Mekayim Yibum to Sarah, irrelevant to the Zika between Sarah and Reuven. That's not no get Hilchas Yibum. It doesn't have any impact on the story of Yibum. The story of Yibum is, as far as Sarah is concerned, Shimon has to be miyabim Sarah because his brother Levi died childless, leaving Sarah. But now you tell me another story. Sarah falls to Yibum to Shimon together with Rachel, and that makes Sarah into a Tzaras Erev. Very strange. So I guess the answer is that the death of every brother generates Yibum, and even in Zeke. I mean, again, if Reuven at some point was married to Sarah, that I understand. He's married to both Sarah and Rachel, and with his death, there's even though Sarah would have fallen for Yibum to Shimon in any event because of the death of Levi, but it doesn't matter. Now she became Ashes Reuven. But now you're telling me even Zika makes her into It's almost as if you remember, Jeff. You always ask me whose name do we give the baby, right? So whose name are we going to give the baby? If theoretically, I'm talking in a theoretical sense, Shimon would be miyabein Sarah. I mean, the Gemara is telling me the Zuhi Lamute, that's not so. The Nahava here, that Shimon could be miyabein, what's her name? Sarah. What would the child's name be? Would it be Ruvain or would it be Levi? Intuitively, my knee-jerk response would have been Levi. Levi died first. Sarah fell for Yevamot to Ruvain's out of the picture. He wasn't the Yavim. No. Sarah is married, again with those quotation marks, to Reuven. Why? Because of Yesh Zika. Now I'm confused. Because if Shimon would be Miyavim Sarah, I think he's being Miyavim her with two different Zikas. The Zika from Levi and the Zika from Reuven. So maybe he should call the name Reuven. But again, you'll always argue, forget about that because, no, wait a minute. Yeah, because there was never a marriage relationship. With all due respect to Zika, it's not the same as full. Let's see if we can finish this up. How are we doing on the clock? So he says, Ella, Isavalak Rav Nachman. We're talking about Rava now. So I think Rav Nachman is one who holds Ein Zika, if I remember correctly. So then when Reuven dies, you cannot give Sarah the status of a Tsaras Ereva because we're holding Ein Zika. Let me just read it. He says, "In Cain, Ein Lomer Shek Shemeis Reuven below Sheyibem ubelow Shegiresh Asura Sarah L'Shimon Ferego Nasted Saras Rachel Even Shazikei Nechashuva Shetikrai Izuhi Lemutei Mai El Korcha Kirav Ashi Sfirule." So the Gemara's bottom line is that the only way of understanding our Mishnah with the Zuhi Lemute Mai according to Rava is if we link up Rava with Ravash, meaning Yesh Zika. If you're going to deny Yesh Zika and you're holding like Rava, and Rava holds that it doesn't matter when the Gerushin took place, before the death of Levi or after the death of Levi, everything is determined by the Shas Misa. To exclude Yibum, you're going to have to introduce Ravash according to Rava. Because if you're not going to say Yesh Zika, then what could exclude Yibum? But now we're talking about. Are we talking about a case of Gerushin now? Just let me. The Mu'ute Mai. Sarah. Second, the low Girish es Rachel. Again, lemu'utei ma. Ma'u ofen shekamanasa less. Loma shekamanasa lemay esara noch. Anas Ruvain. V'lo girish. Ain't so. Sorry, oh, I see. In the Lemute Mai, the Gemara is offering a Hamamina, a suggestion that Ruvain never divorced his wife Rachel, and he already was Miyavim, what's her name, Sarah. So in that case, Ein Sarah. Ein Sarah means I don't need the Mishnah to say Lemute Mai, because this is your classic mold of Tzaras Achos Ish, of Tzaras Erev. So therefore, Korkach Kirav Ashi Sfirle, Yevamot Shenafla Lifnei Shnei Achei Baila Nesuim L'Shnei Ach Meis Echad HaYevamim Rulis Yavim LaNosar Mishum Shenachsheves Eishes HaMeis Bezika. Okay, so that's the Eish. So I think what the Gemara is saying that the Zohi Lemute Mai has to have a chiddush to it. Now, if it's a case where Reuven's married to Rachel and then he is Miyabim Levi's wife Sarah, that's classic Tzaras Erev. I don't need the Mishnah to tell me that there's no Yibum in that case. That's what Tzaras Erev is all about. But I need it for a case where Reuven was not Miyabim Sarah, but he didn't divorce his wife. If he didn't divorce his wife Rachel, then by virtue of the fact that Sarah was Kuka Liyavam, I'm sorry, Reuven I meant to say. So Sarah's Zika to Reuven makes her into a Tzaras Ereva of Achos Isha when Reuven dies. At the moment, again, we're holding answer of your view. We're holding now the Nisa Mapelis. Okay, then. Honestly, I would not want to be tested on this Gemara. It is so complicated. All right, Rabbi, so we'll stop here. See where we got up to here. Daf Lamed Amud Beis. That'll be
it's 9 o'clock.
Sunday at 9.
Oh.
Right, because I have this. I'm substituting for Rabbi Adler in the OU Center. That's at 10:15. So I'd rather if we started